when you have complete acceptance of an outcome, you're not afraid to hit a shot because you're willing to accept wherever it goes. So there's a sense of freeness.
Hey guys, and welcome back to ONEPODLIFE. Today's guest is Brandon Robinson-Thompson. Now, he has had one hell of a year. He's had 5 wins, played in a major and finished 59th, and he is on the verge of securing a DP World Tour card for 2024. Now, we caught up and talked about his younger years, growing up on the Isle of Wight, how an ACL injury actually directed him into golf, and then his time in America where he studied at 2 universities. Within this episode, Brandon gives us some great insights and advice that can help you become a better golfer and a person at the same time. So grab a pen and paper and enjoy this episode with Brandon. Okay, hey Brandon, and welcome to the podcast. How are you?
Thanks very much. Thanks for having me. It's all good. I'm all good over here.
No, good stuff. You said you're in the Isle of Wight at the moment. It looks pretty sunny there, but you told me it's been on and off. But
it's tropical, isn't it? Tropical island down here. So
I like it.
Yeah.
So let's start from the beginning and obviously talk about how you actually got into golf, and obviously being from the Isle of Wight, what the sort of playing possibilities that brings in from sort of being from that part of the country.
Yeah, I guess okay. Yeah, I could bring it back to all the way to the beginning. So I began playing around 9 years old, I would say. My grandfather got me into the game.
Okay.
Yeah, he promised me when I turned 9. I think he just wanted a couple of years where he was on his own still, but he stuck to his word. Took me up to the golf course here, local, about 2 or 3 miles away, Freshwater Bay Golf Club. And yeah, from that day forward, I don't remember a day where I wasn't playing.
Okay.
At least on the weekends, or at least playing a little bit. So yeah, I got into it about 9, but throughout school I was like multi-sports. I was playing God knows what sports, and so I only really played golf sort of once a week, and then in the summertime.
Okay.
So my time was taken up by football, badminton, all that all sort of younger sports everyone plays, and yeah, so I didn't really I knew I was sort of pretty good, like I could do it. I got into I was playing for Hampshire at about 13, 14. So like I was playing a good bit, a decent standard. But it wasn't until, I mean, I snapped my ACL playing football when I was 15, and that was the time when everybody was like, okay, maybe we should just focus on, maybe golf because it's like the lowest risk sport, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think it's like golf wise, especially on the island, there wasn't a whole lot of opportunity growing up, especially, we'd have to travel to all the tournaments. We didn't come from a sort of super affluent background, couldn't really afford to do it a whole lot. So yeah, it was very kind of restrictive. It's like as you can imagine, if you're on an island, it's kind of you're cut off, I guess, literally.
Yep.
So yeah, there were sort of restrictions as far as that went, but I think that sort of helped me just sort of develop. I don't kind of on my own in the beginning, and just sort of love and enjoy it instead of being in like the system super early, like the England, those systems. So I think I found a love for the game before I sort of got, pretty good.
Okay, that's good. So do you think so? Yes, obviously you said that you you obviously did your ACL when you was 15 playing football. Do you think if you hadn't done your ACL, would you still gone into golf, or would you have stayed with the football?
Yeah, see, it's such a good question because it's almost one of those blessings in disguises. I think that it sort of changed the trajectory, I think, of my life. Because I was always a super big sportsman. I love football. Football was probably my number one love, like a lot of young British lads. Just the camaraderie, the team, like it's fun, it's a lot more fun, I would say, especially growing up as a kid.
Yep.
So yeah, it's hard to tell, but I definitely think it focused and and changed and sort of set me on a different path for sure.
Yeah. No, good.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think I spoke to Ryan Harm. I think he's from the Isle of Wight as well, isn't he?
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
he
he is,
said
yeah.
he played for Hampshire, and like you said, there wasn't much opportunity on the island. So it was almost not get off as quick as you could, but obviously you do need to go into the mainland to start playing. Um, so obviously 15, the ACL happens. How long was you out for with that?
Impact, anything like that was about 9 months.
Okay,
And
so
actually, during those 9 months, I began at Brockenhurst College
right,
in the New Forest, but I started on crutches. Like I went my first 3 months at college, I was on crutches, which was like brutal.
yeah, I bet it was.
Like I was literally known as like as the geezer on crutches. Like, yeah,
The
I'm
geezer on
like,
crutches, love it.
yeah.
Uh, Good stuff. So obviously, so what sort of year was this? So you're obviously turning 16.
Would have been
Obviously you're at
2008,
college, 2008. So 3 years later,
2009.
so sort of like 2, 3 years later, you find yourself at Morningside University,
Yeah,
and I believe that's in America, correct?
yeah, true. It's in
So
northwest Iowa.
correct. So in those sort of 2 to 3 years, what happened where that became an opportunity for you? And I guess that's kind of where everything kind of kick-started for you to actually
Mm,
play sort of some more regular golf. But how did that
yeah.
sort of opportunity come across?
Well, I think mainly there was when I went to Brockenhurst, there was a girl on our team named Tiffany, and I mean, I didn't really even know that the American university thing was a thing,
Yep.
and until so she would have been a year ahead of me. So she was planning to go to the States to play university golf, and I was like, what? So then what? Like we started talking about it, me and her, and then I started looking into it, and I was like, okay, well, I didn't even know this was a thing, like an option. Um, she helped out a little bit with just, I don't know, understanding the process, what she did, what she was currently going through. And then, um, I realized, okay, well, maybe that's something I can do. Um, so yeah, we sort of began looking into it, began a process of, I went through I think there's even agencies, different agencies now that you can go through, um, to help, I guess, find you a spot, almost like a,
Yep.
recruitment agency or something. And they help you connect to universities in the States. So, uh, obviously, I saw a bit of development during my time at Brockenhurst, being able to, I was at college for golf, so we were, regularly practicing, um, regularly competing, and it was that in that time as well. In the summers, I was playing more golf, playing some competitive golf in the summers, playing for Hampshire. I was like our team captain on the Hampshire team. Like I was sort of getting more into golf basically for
Yep.
those 2 or 3 years. Um, and then So I think she was sort of the one that kickstarted that, and then it was just kind of a snowball effect of, wow, that's something I want to do. Let's do it. Luckily, through scholarships and help from my grandparents, and I actually took a gap year to help fund the flights and my first year out there, just because
Oh, okay.
kind of needed to.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
yeah, um, so I didn't, I would have left. I didn't leave until a sort of a year later. So after I finished college.
Okay. So what 18, 19?
Yeah, I turned 19 when I was there. So I
Okay.
was there for like a week, turned 19. So,
Okay, good stuff. And then again, what made you decide on Morningside University?
um, number one reason I chose there was actually for the coach, and his name's Coach Sapp, is Todd Sapp. He's actually retired now from that position, but he was the only reason I really went to Morningside. As when you get connected with different universities, you obviously you speak to the coaches, and I just had like an instant rapport with him. He was enthusiastic. He really wanted me to come. Blah blah blah. It was probably one of the best decisions I ever made, just by the way he treated us when we were there. Like
Yep.
I developed a really great relationship with him, and he was almost like like father figure when I was there. He was just super welcoming and sort of took me under his arm. So very appreciative that I actually went there in the end.
No,
despite
nice.
it being cold as balls.
Well, that was going to be one of my questions. You didn't go there for the weather, did you?
Oh, mate. Well, I think it was, I guess, a lack of geography information, or basically naivety about the United States,
Yep.
not realizing that it snowed 6 feet in the winter and, was minus 10 degrees. Like, didn't
Yeah,
really
yeah.
look into it that much.
Love it. Yeah, you think you go to America,
Yeah,
it's all nice and hot, but no, there's some cold places over there.
yeah. I guess you just assume, you're a kid. I wasn't a kid, but I was younger. I didn't really have a
Yeah.
great understanding of the weather geographically in the States, and I was just like, oh yeah, it's gonna be brilliant. And I remember walking to class in like November and my nose sticking together, trying
Oh,
to breathe.
nice.
Yeah, like
Well, luckily you only had 2 years there, and then you went off to the University of South Carolina.
yeah.
So again, the transition from going from Morningside to South Carolina, how
Mm,
did that come across? Because again, when I speak to pros, they normally spend 3, 4 years at one university, and then
yeah.
come back. Obviously, you spent a good 5 years out there, obviously
Mm.
at two universities. So how did that come about?
Well, mainly because of the weather. And again, Coach Sapp, he was very understanding and actually helped me move on. But it was just I did quite well there. Um, the competition was good, but maybe I was looking for something more challenging, I guess, and somewhere a little bit warmer. Um, so I ended up actually this is exactly what I did. I went online and I researched the top 20 schools in the country, whatever, and then I picked out all the ones that were warm, and I emailed, called, and again, um, Coach Carlisle at University of South Carolina, Aiken, he just again an instant. We just got along. He was enthusiastic again. He just seemed nice, like a very nice guy, and that first impression and it wasn't wrong because again, when I went there and decided to go there, he was like that next very influential um, golf person in my life and took on another big role in my golf career, I think.
Oh, good stuff. Well, I think it was a good move because obviously you went on to have quite a bit of success there. You might have to
Yeah.
educate me in what a first team All American actually means. I hear the phrase all the time, but I have no idea
Yeah.
what it means. But yeah, you wanted to be a two-time NCAA first team All American, a two-time NAIA All American, and a two-time conference champion. So
Yeah.
yeah, just run through those and sort of tell us what that experience was like of being there for 3 years and getting that type of success.
Yeah, sure. So the NAIA it's basically a conference or a league, sorry, and that was Morningside. So Morningside was in the NAIA, like an
Okay.
institution.
Yep.
And then when I moved or transferred University of South Carolina, Aiken, that was part of the NCAA. So it's
Right.
different,
Okay.
different. Um, so basically, a first team All American is they, uh, I guess, the coaches or they have a poll and they all choose the top 10 players for that year, and that would be the first team.
Right. Okay.
So then the second team would be the next 10 players, and the third team would be the next 10 players. So you're essentially one of the top 10 players in the country that year.
Okay.
So
Great stuff.
that's what that means. So then if it's third team, obviously that would be 21 through 30 best players of
Yep.
the season. So um, it's an honor. It's like the highest honor in school you can get, basically. Maybe apart from winning like the individual conference championships, which I also did do, and then I guess you can win the national championship. Uh, so yeah, those are those. And I kind of saw a little bit of success at Morningside, and then when I transferred, I saw that sort of progressive success at
Yep.
University of South Carolina, Aiken. Um, and I guess just slowly sort of putting, building blocks of success in the game, especially at the collegiate level, where it's so competitive in the States.
Yeah. No, definitely. I imagine, obviously, like you said, the competition over there is obviously quite fierce. There's a lot of guys over there and ladies trying to do it. So I guess being chosen in that top 10, getting those championships under your belt will obviously build up that confidence so much that I guess you come out of that university or that situation thinking, yeah, okay, I'm ready now to kind of go and put it to the test in the pro ranks.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not like a prerequisite that you have to progress, but it's something that, um, like you allude to, it just gives you that confidence of, okay, you know, in this set or group of players, like I'm there.
Yeah,
So, you know,
no, it's
definitely.
good stuff. No, it's good stuff. So obviously that all ends 2016. I couldn't quite work out what you did after that, so I imagine you came back to sunny UK. And obviously you had enough of that
Yeah.
stuff down in South Carolina. So what happened when you came back back to the UK, sort of 2016 to obviously just before the pandemic?
Well, I actually didn't come back.
Oh, okay,
Yeah. So what I did was I ended up staying in South Carolina.
right.
Yeah. So I actually ended up going to South America, and I qualified for the PGA Tour Latino America,
Oh, nice.
which is a PGA Tour sanctioned tour in South America and Central America. Um, so actually, I in 2018 I qualified for that and spent the year playing there, and then partial, yeah, part of 2019 played down there. Um, you know, going to places like Guatemala and Costa Rica and Peru, and playing 4-day PGA Tour sanctioned events was life, experiences that I'll never forget for one, but also helped develop me as a professional traveling week after week, you know, flying from Peru to Ecuador to Sao Paulo, Brazil to, just kind of learning what it's like to be a touring professional, I guess.
Oh, that's good. And what was you doing for cash at that time? Was you working or?
Um, no, I basically did a lot of, I guess, fundraising, um, sponsorship, and then just winning money, I guess, to keep me going.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Uh, it's almost like how companies do rounds of fundraising or
Yep.
something like that. It was almost like come November, you're like, I haven't got enough money to play again next year, so it's like I've got to basically try and find funds to play again. So never really had enough money to. I never started a season with enough money to say, right, I'm good. I can play
Yep.
this season. I'm gonna be sorted. It was always like, right, I've found enough money to where I can like play for a few months and like just got to go and play well, basically.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, I even there was a time in 2018 where the Latin tour was paused for a month and then they continue, and I literally ran out of cash, and
Right.
I was in the States, and I played a couple of mini tour events, like local events, and I won one of those. Basically, I was on like my last dime, won one, and I was like, I can play like the next half of the season.
That's good.
So just kind of back against the wall kind of stuff that I just think helps build character. And
Mhm.
I mean, I wouldn't want people to have to deal with that, but I think that it's helped me.
Yeah, yeah. No, it also
Yeah.
gives you a bit of adversity and what's the word? Resilience, I guess, as well, to actually when you need to do it, you've got it in the locker to do it.
True. Yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
Good stuff. All right, cool. I think that's a pretty good roundup of obviously your how you got into golf and obviously your sort of learnings through sort of like I said university and then obviously that first sort of year I guess as a professional golfer playing on the Latin American tour. So fast forward a few years, or quite a few years to this year, and I think it's safe to say you've had a pretty successful one this year. But before we go on and talk about the results, what I want to know is before February, of just when the first bit of success started coming this year, Did you realise what was different coming into this year? Or was there anything that you noticed where you thought, actually, I feel like I'm in a really good place right now, to then position yourself for this season?
Yeah, it's funny. I've had a few people, even my peers, even ask me a similar question. And everybody wants to hear, well, actually, there was this like one thing that I did.
Yeah.
Or
That's,
um,
that's, that's what I'm looking for, Brandon. Tell me.
yeah, unfortunately, I can't quite um give you that. It's more of a, I don't know. There's no secret recipe or anything. It's just like I think it's just a build up of, or um basically I felt like it was coming.
Yep.
Everybody says it, or I think everybody believes it. But last year, when I played the last year of the Euro Pro before it folded, I started to see some really consistent results on the Euro Pro. I won my first event in the UK on the Euro Pro, and I was having some really good finishes, but I ended up finishing seventh on the order of merit, which was two spots out of getting a Challenge Tour card
Yep.
for this year. But like I felt that I was there, and then I went to Q school, went to second stage of DP World qualifying school, shot 15 under, lost in a playoff. So like, but then so after all of that, at the end of the year, Europro folds, you're sat there with nothing.
Yep.
So you feel like you've progressed, but you haven't actually moved. Um, so a good friend of mine, who, and this is sort of where the recipe, I guess, comes in.
Yep.
It's that, I didn't see it as a failure. I still saw it as progression. I'm like, I've definitely found stuff. I began aim pointing a couple of years ago, and I truly believe that's helped me become an elite putter.
Okay.
Um, Even my peers consider me, a elite putter. It's something that I was always an average putter at best, really. And I think with the system, not only do I believe that it works, like it's just given me something to believe in.
Yep.
So I began aim pointing, and I think that's truly helped me get better. Um, I switched my coach, Ryan Fricker. He's a good friend of mine as well. We're similar age, um, young, enthusiastic. I switched coaches a year and a half ago, um, and he's just helped me become more myself, I guess. Just almost give me a bit more freedom to just be me instead of trying to put me in a box, basically.
Yep.
Um, and so that was like that's where I saw the progress last year. But then, of course, like I said, come to the year, got nothing. So a good friend of mine, uh, best mate of a long time, he's caddied for me, he's helped raise money for me, he's helped do a lot of stuff for me. He lived in Qatar in the Middle East.
Okay.
And he was like, "Oh, you'd be stupid not to come out for the World Cup, blah, blah, blah." So I was like, UK World Cup. So I went out to Qatar for 5 weeks from start to finish, went and saw the whole thing. But we used it as like a winter training program. We got in
Yep.
the gym, we got strong, we got disciplined, and I was practicing every day. There was nothing, I was just golf, football. Golf, football was pretty cool actually. I came home for Christmas for 2 weeks, and he was like, "Come back out." So I was like, "But bollocks to it, basically."
Yep.
So our thing was, I went back to Qatar in January, and he was like, "We don't know what I'm going to play in this year, but all we know is I'm going to be ready to play in it.
Okay.
You know, as in I'm going to go out there, I'm going to practice, I'm going to get strong, I'm going to be ready to compete. If somebody calls me and says you got an invite somewhere, you're going, you're ready." And I was desperate. I was asking people for invites. I was asking the main tour challenge. I was asking for this, that, and the other. Didn't get anything until I got a couple of invites to play on the MENA tour.
Yep.
And so that the first that would have been in like late January, early February.
Yep. I think it's
Yeah,
it
yeah,
was definitely sort of beginning of
yeah,
February. I think that was.
end of February maybe. Um, so then, like we said, just be ready, and it was fairly close to Qatar, so I think it was in Egypt. Go out there, finished 11th, 10th or 11th in the first one, win the second one, and we're
Yep.
like, all right, you know, not only does that boost the confidence of what we've been doing, be ready, just be ready. It also helped fund the season because I wasn't, in a great spot financially. So it's like, okay, cool. Now I've got a bit. So then they had a couple more events in Malaysia and Thailand.
That's right.
So, I didn't feel that. I was like, okay, I can afford to bugger it, I'm ready. So that was again, I don't know, like a month after. And I think I had like 3 top 10s, I think, in those 3 events. And then I think that was the run. So from those 3 events I played 3 weeks in a row, Malaysia, Thailand. I flew straight to London, drove down to Cornwall, and then started that run of 9 clutch events. So that was, yeah.
No, I think obviously what you're talking about is obviously you had a complete mindset change. Obviously when you went over to Qatar, and obviously had the
Mhm.
opportunity to stay with your friend, and like you said, actually do what you want to do, as in play golf every day, practice, train, get in the gym, get yourself ready. And
Yeah,
and I love the fact that you just said, I'm going to be ready. No matter what it is, it could be January, it could be July. I'm going to be
yeah,
ready right now so that I can go and play golf. I think that, like I said, that was probably the massive shift. And like you said, the recipe that then obviously made this year, because you started off, I'm ready to go, let's go. And then obviously
yeah,
bang, 11th, won those tournaments, get down to clutch, and then it's obviously an amazing run happens with 9 tournaments, and you end up winning 3 of them.
yeah,
I mean, and obviously you had back to back in there as well,
yeah,
which is obviously the hardest thing to do.
yeah,
So yeah, I guess again, when you had those back to back wins, I think it was Northern Ireland Open and the at I can't never pronounce this one, Matchness in Wales. It's probably
yeah,
completely wrong, but I'm going to say it anyway.
yeah,
And yeah, so like again, I think those 3 wins came before a challenge tour win as well. So maybe just talk
yeah.
about again those 3 wins on the Clutch Pro Tour. How again that obviously it probably cemented everything you said you worked on at the beginning of the year. But yeah, just give me that your reaction to those and how you sort of felt you were going.
Yeah, I just felt that, like you said, when it was basically the recipe of, right, I'm going to be ready. And once I started and then saw that success, it was almost like I remember telling, even before the back-to-back wins, I remember, you travel with your mates, you stay with your mates that are also playing. And I told him it's the first time it's felt like a job to me, but not in a negative way. As in, I show up, I do what I need to do, play. I
Yep.
show up and it's repetitive. I was like, I show up to the course, I'd plan I'd have a game plan, I'd figure out my game plan, I'd go out, execute my game plan, sleep, wake up, go execute my game plan, sleep. And I'll just do that 3 days in a row, boom. Next
Yep.
week, prepare, game plan, game plan, game plan. And it was the first time it just started to feel like a flowy, I wake up, I do my job. I wake up, I do my job. It just so happens I, you know, really enjoyed it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And obviously when you're, have a lot of success, it's fun, but golf in itself and the challenge and the journey you go on is fun to me anyway. Win, lose or draw, as
Yep.
frustrating as it can be. Um, so yeah, I said that even before I started, or I won the 2 big events there. But it was kind of a mad 3 weeks really, because I had a massive comeback on Sunday to win in Northern Ireland,
Yep.
and it was a major. So that was actually the largest check I'd ever won as a
Wow.
professional. Um, on a really great golf course in Northern Ireland. It was awesome. And then the next week on a course that I actually liked, I played before in the Europro, McInnes, I think they actually pronounce it.
Oh, okay. Yeah. There you go.
Um, So shout out to me if it's correct. I don't know if that is really. uh, and then I go and I eagle the last hole to win there. And then I wasn't going to go to open qualifying. And one of my really good mates, Leon, he was like, "Mate, you're in final qualifying. Like, just go." Like, because I had my first invite on the Challenge Tour, and he was like, "Just go, mate. Don't worry about it." I was like, "All right," because it was in Wales anyway. And I go qualify for the Open.
Yep.
I'm like, "What is going on at the like? What is even like? What's going on?" Like, I was like,
Yeah,
"This
yeah,
is
yeah.
madness." Then I qualify. So I qualify for that. Then I get an invite into the DP Tour event in Denmark. Make the cut, play decent, make a decent check, and I'm like, "All right, like what? Like an absolute whirlwind of like 3 weeks there, 3.5
Yep.
weeks." And then I took 5 days off, and then boom, you're playing in the Open. So it was, I guess that it would have been July. So July was absolutely wild for me.
Yep. No, it sounds
Yeah,
like a real, well, yeah, like I said, crazy 3 weeks, but also what a fantastic 3-4 weeks for you in your career to get some money behind you, so you can obviously not worry about that for a point for the rest of the year, but also just again cement the work you've been doing, the mindset you've gone into it, the job side of things, like you said, actually enjoying
mm,
what you're doing and finding that, I don't want to say flow state, but probably is flow state, where
yeah,
you're you're constantly just doing these actions that are obviously getting good results, which is great. So yeah, so let's talk about the Open then. July 2023, you're playing at the Open at Royal Liverpool, and yeah, I guess for me that would be, I class it as a surreal 4 days for you. And yeah, I guess from your own words, tell me your experience of from the start of the week to the end, because obviously you made the cut as well, which is obviously not what many people do in their first ever major.
yeah,
So yeah, so talk me through it.
yeah. It's weird, like first ever major. Like I even forget that it's a major. Like, but it's so I haven't really even had time to decompress. To be honest, this season's been so manic. But it all kind of started. I arrived on the Sunday before. You know, I mean, just like anyone, you'd be the same. Everyone would be the same. I was like, "Oh, let me get 9 holes in Sunday
Yep,
afternoon." Like,
yep.
so we,
Why not?
yeah, I say snuck out. I mean, we are allowed, but like kind of snuck 9 holes in. Um, and it was the most dead it would be, and it was probably one of the coolest days because I had my best mate there, my coach, my fiance. My fiance flew in from America. Um, I hadn't seen her for 6 months, so that was obviously special.
Yep.
But that Sunday afternoon where it was just us and like a few people milling around, but not like really quiet was surreal because it was like we're here, and it was just like we were getting a feel of it. It was pretty magic actually Sunday afternoon, to be fair. Um, and it just helped me sort of settle down and take that first 9 holes in like completely. Um, so that was amazing. But yeah, from then it just got more crazy. To be fair,
No, it did.
um, I couldn't believe how many people were there on Wednesday. Or I mean, to be honest, for those who don't know, that obviously it's a big event, but like it's the epitome of golf. Like any tournament I've ever been to or been a part of can't really compare. As in, even just peripheral stuff. Obviously, the course is immaculate. Greens, the runoffs, like the fringes, the runoffs were immaculate. For a links course too. I mean, you expect it to be a bit rugged, but it was
Yep.
pristine. I mean, some of the rough was gnarly and like knee high, but
Just
um,
don't go in
yeah, just don't go in it. The bunkers.
it.
I went in one fairway bunker all week, which I was super pumped about, because it was like a one-shot penalty basically.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, but yeah, it's from the course. But then you've also got peripheral stuff. Like you've got the amount of people in the grandstands, and the grandstands themselves. You've got the player services, the concierge, um, the Mercedes Benzes that would pick you up and drop you off whenever you wanted. we had a barber in the locker room. We, you've got food fridges in the locker room. You've got gym. You've got ice baths. You've got unlimited amount of food. You've got the players' dining was whatever you wanted. You could order it. I was having steaks here, steaks there. I mean, it's there's just so much more to it than a golf tournament. Although it's just another
Mm.
golf tournament, at the
Yep.
same time, it isn't.
And then and
And
then and then you throw in all the top players in there as well.
exactly, and then all of a sudden you're in the players' dining. You're in the. I mean, my locker was next to Justin Thomas. So
Wow.
you've got those people that you've seen that you've never met, but you've seen them. You've seen them 1,000 times, but you've never met, and it's like it is a bit. I mean, it's cool. I guess. I guess you could get carried away. No, don't get me wrong, but I think luckily my perspective was, I'm here. I qualified. Like I'm going to just enjoy every moment of it. But I'm also here to like compete.
Yep.
I'm on a bit of a burner. Like I'm not just I haven't just been thrown in on a win. Like I'm on a bit of a tear. So like who says I can't like compete?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um so that's where we also just went into job mode, I would say.
Yep.
And I hate calling it job mode because even the word job has a negative connotation in itself, but um process mode, I guess, just where right, game plan, let's go make a game plan for this golf course. Going to go stick to this game plan, execute it. And I know deep down in my heart that if I do that, I will compete. So, then it's just, can you manage your emotions? Can you manage, the excitement of playing in the Open Championship, which by the way still sounds mental. But and I guess in a sense I was very, very lucky, and I'm so grateful for the people that came up and showed support. Um, like I've mentioned, I had my friend, my best mate, my fiance, my coach, but then I also had other friends, other peers that came up, took time out of their week to come up and show support. I had a couple of people from the island come up. I had other people come up, and um, it just helped, and it made the weeks more special. That when I did look left to right, walking down the fairway, I stood in the tee. I had some familiar faces that were there to support me, which was awesome, mate. Really.
Fantastic. Um, you went on to obviously make the cut. Like I said, not many people do in their first ever major tournament. And I think you managed to obviously you finished 59th, which is another wonderful achievement. I can't remember exactly who you played with. Who did you play with on all four of those days? Can you remember?
Yeah, so the first two rounds I played with actually a friend of mine who plays on the Challenge Tour. His name's Mikey Stewart, Scottish guy, and Jorge Campillo, who's like five-time winner on the European Tour.
Yep.
And then on Saturday, so on the weekend you play on two balls. So on Saturday I played with Till Hatton, who's like ninth best player on the planet.
Yep.
And then on Sunday I played with Gary Woodland, US Open
Nice.
champion. So I mean, Saturday was so fun playing with Tyrrell. Like, he's a good guy. I think it's a bit of a bad rap, to be honest, but
Yep.
he may or may not play up to what is expected of him. But he's a sound geezer, mate. He's a really nice guy. And actually playing with Gary on Sunday made Sunday very enjoyable as well, because he's a super laid back guy, very friendly. We had a mutual friend from the States that sort of gave us like an instant bit of I don't know, a connection to be able to talk about. But the
Mm.
weekend at the Open was the greatest weekend ever.
No, good stuff. Were you able to pick their brains about anything or get some advice from them? And if so, what was the
Not
best bit of advice you got from them?
not really, and I guess no real advice. We're all we're still out there trying to compete and try and shoot the lowest score we can. Um, so no real advice. I mean, I wouldn't even ask either, as in
No.
not at the time, but maybe if we were hanging out after or something. But um, just, I mean, even just playing with those people like that have, quote unquote, a big name. was cool because it allows you to realize that. I even said I did a thing with I did a BBC thing South Today, and it was one of these things where I said, believing and thinking you're good enough is one thing, but there comes a time where, and for me, it was in and around that open time, was like I knew that I was good, good enough to do it. So I think as well that was like kind of like a little switch in mentality for me as well.
That's good. But another switching mentality. Again, all this year, you've been building layer upon layer upon layer of confidence and
Mhm.
mindset changes. And like you said, you fell in love with the process mode and getting things done. And obviously, after the Open, you then went on to win on Challenge Tour as well, which is obviously
Yeah,
is like, again, another amazing success story for this year. So 5 wins in 1 year. I mean, some people don't get that in a career of being a professional golfer. So
yeah,
I think is that 6 in total you've had now as a pro?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Six,
so
six in the last 2 years. Yeah,
uh, that's fantastic. And
yeah.
obviously to top off the year, you're now currently 26th on the road to Mallorca on the Challenge Tour.
Mhm.
And obviously top 20 get a full DP World Tour card. So I've got two questions on that one. One is one's positive, one's negative. So we'll start off with the negative one before I move to positive. The negative one is if you don't finish in the top 20, what does it mean for you as a player on the Challenge Tour? And obviously the positive one is obviously, do you think you can make it into the top 20? And what do you think you need to do to actually get there?
Okay. You say negative, but if you look at it from the perspective of February,
Yep.
finishing just outside the top 20 would be an incredibly successful year, right?
Yeah, of course.
In terms of, shouldn't even be here. If you look at the beginning where I was standing on the 1st of January, for example, with nowhere to play,
Yep.
no status, so if you said it's all perspective, right? If you said, "Oh, I'll give you challenge tour status next year as a winner," blah blah blah, you'd be like, "Fuck," and you'd be like, "Yes, sir." Um, of course, it changes as things happen and as you
Yep.
keep moving. Would you be disappointed? Yeah, obviously I'd be disappointed because now I know that I'm capable of doing it. So
Yep.
yeah, I would be disappointed, no doubt about it. But um, you know, life's got a funny way of I don't know, things happen, so you never
Yeah,
know
definitely.
if missing out would be a good thing or a bad thing.
Yep.
Um,
Well, I
there's
guess
a
you
good
could.
fable.
Sorry, I was going to say you can probably look back at when you did your ACL when you was 15.
I mean, yeah, you're right, 100%.
Yep.
You just never know.
Yeah.
Go, sticking with that. There's a cool fable about the Chinese farmer. I won't get into it, but have a look at it. And if anyone's listening, go read about the Chinese farmer, and you'll understand that things happen. Is it a good or a bad thing? Well, maybe. You just you just don't know. So
Yep.
that's a good way of looking at my ACL. It's a good way of looking at the next in the next couple of weeks. Saying that, do I think I can go ahead and finish in top 20? Hell yeah, of course I do.
Yep.
you know, and how do I do that? Well, it's pretty easy. How? Um, I go there, I prepare, I make my game plan, I stick to it, I execute it, and that will leave me wherever I am at the end of the week.
Yep.
And wherever I am at the end of the week, um, that's where it is. So um, I've got complete acceptance in every golf shot I hit, and I've got complete acceptance in results. So I will be where I will be, and I'm just very grateful to be in the position I'm in. So, but that doesn't mean that I'm not trying my ass off to make
No, no,
sure
of
it
course not.
happens.
Of course.
Um, so yeah.
So obviously, yeah. If that situation was to happen and you finish outside top 20,
Mm.
um, what Yeah, like I said, what did that give you as a status on Challenge Tour?
So I'd have, well, first of all, I'd actually still have a status on DP World Tour. I'd have a
Okay.
category to where um, I may or may not get in a few events anyway. But I'd also have a category as a winners category for next year. So, I mean, I'm in this position after playing 9 events on the Challenge Tour. So they don't want to give me 25 events.
Yeah, you'd be
Um,
dangerous with 25.
yeah, and I do. I believe I'd be dangerous 25. I believe I'm one of the
Yep.
best players on that tour now.
Yep.
And I'm proving I'm one of the best players on the tour now
No,
with
100%.
only 9 with only 9 events. So, yeah, we'll see. And then, God forbid I actually get my DP World card. I mean, who knows then?
That's
But I
big.
mean,
Well,
for me as well, like it's a cool story. So is it written in the stars? I don't know. Maybe. From 0 to DP World in a year.
yeah,
I
mate.
mean, is it? Who knows?
Well, that's the reason why I started doing the podcast. I'm a big believer in if anything can happen to anybody if you put your mind to it and you put the time in. And obviously, this
Mm,
is a great story, like you just said, 0 to almost possibly getting a DP World Tour card is outrageous. And like you said, considering where you
yeah,
were at the start of the year.
yeah,
Yeah, my little phrase I use is believe in the possible. Is it possible? Well, yeah, of course it is. Anyone can do it.
yeah,
So let's go and do it. So all I know is for you is that 2024 is going to be a pretty big year for you, and it's going to be a successful one. So, like I said, we'll see what happens in a couple of weeks when you play on the Grand Tour. I'll be watching.
yeah.
But no, I definitely believe that. Yeah, the next year or 2 years, it's just going to keep. It's going to keep getting higher and higher. So no, keep going, mate. Well done.
I do. I do appreciate that. Thank you. And
That's not no worries.
yeah, I think you're totally on it, mate. If it's is it possible? Yeah. So like, why not?
Exactly.
You know,
Why not?
why not?
That's what I tell my friends all the time when they say to me, "You can't become a professional golfer." I'm like, well, "Why can't I?"
Yeah.
Like the
Well, why not?
possibilities are out there, so why
Yeah.
not? Good stuff. Right,
Love it, mate. Love it. Great mentality.
good stuff. Let's get into some quick questions.
Yeah,
If you could play with one non-professional golfer, who would it be? And you can't pick me.
yeah. Well, I'm gonna have to rethink now. Um, non-professional golfer.
Yeah, so like maybe like a celebrity
Yeah,
or
yeah, yeah,
someone like
yeah.
that.
Not a big celebrity guy. That's one I haven't really thought about, to be honest. I'll make actually someone maybe like Roger Federer,
Okay,
just
that'd be cool.
as like later on, like he was a bit hot when he was younger, but like later on he developed such an unbelievable mind, and it was like complete control and just the I don't know beauty of him playing tennis. I think it'd be cool to sort of pick his brain and enjoy around with him. Yeah.
Yeah, good stuff. Okay, if you weren't a golfer, what would you be?
Um, I think I'd I think I'd be in some sort of development for performance. I think it's
Okay,
something I would. Yeah, I'd love to do that. I think I could. Yeah, I'd get into that. I think.
good stuff. Best course you've ever played?
I don't even know my top 10. Uh, I was talking to my mates about this, trying to figure it out. But um, I'll just say the best feeling I've ever had on a golf course was playing the old course.
Okay,
It's
I've
not
heard
my
that
it's
one.
not the best course I've ever played, but it's the greatest emotional experience I've ever had playing a golf course. It was pretty cool
Okay,
coming down 16, 17, 18 there. It was pretty cool.
good stuff. And then last one is, what's your favourite shot you like to play?
Oh, it's a little baby draw with absolutely anything.
Love it.
Yeah, I'll probably hit tight little draw with 99% of my clubs, apart from
Yeah.
driver. But
Um,
probably like a yeah, like a I don't know, like a tight little 150 yarder, just a tight little baby draw in there.
so what we're going to do now is move on to the last section of the podcast, which is the reason why I set up, people who listen to this know that, like I said, I set myself a goal of hopefully one day being able to play professional golf, getting closer, but not just there just yet, but it's getting closer and closer.
One foot in front of the other, mate. That's all you got to
Exactly.
do.
Well, again, like you, I've had a pretty successful year this year in getting the handicap down. I've played well. I'm starting to feel I can actually go out there and just play golf now, as opposed to worrying about technique and stuff like that, which is good. And yeah, so the reason I started doing it was to speak to people like yourself who are successful in this sort of area, getting into the top levels of golf, and then obviously getting advice from you. So I now put to you, what are your top 3 tips that you think any aspiring professional golfer should be doing? And then obviously explain why you think that.
Okay, so first of all, I'm going to assume that you can already play. Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
I'm going to assume you're not just like a 20 handicap trying to do it. I'm going to assume you're a very high level golfer.
Yeah. Well, okay. Right now I'm 5.5 right now. So
Okay,
base it
so
on that.
you can play, yeah. Okay, that's fine. Um, get away from uh, technique based video stuff, right?
Hmm.
I've gotten to a point where I don't even look at my swing much.
Okay.
Videos that I do have, I send to my coach and we talk about it. But otherwise, I go down the big rabbit holes. I'm like, well, it's not pretty. I don't like the look of it. I could be strumming it, by the way,
Yep.
and I'll be like, yeah, but it don't look good. Oh, what can we do? And he's like, mate, like you just shot 500 bogey free yesterday. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, but I'm like, yeah, but it doesn't look like uh, Mac O'Grady. I don't know. So
Yep.
once you get to a certain level, I think it's performance based stuff.
Yep.
So can you hit required shots? Can you perform? Can you hit those shots when required? Um, that sort of stuff. So performance based stuff rather than technique.
Mhm.
Um,
I like that one.
yeah. Then I would say it's so cliche too, but um, like short game stuff. I think if you've got a really tidy short game, and when I say short game, I mean like chipping, pitching, and putting.
Hmm.
So if you've got a tidy short game, you make less bogeys. Now, the difference between a top level pro and an amateur isn't the amount of birdies they make, it's the amount of bogeys they make.
Yep.
You know, you or I could average 4 birdies around. I mean, you could easily go out and shoot 3, 4 birdies around, right?
Yep.
But you might make 3, 4, 5 bogeys, whereas
Yep.
I'm making 1 or 1.5 bogeys around.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the difference is bogey avoidance. So that would be, a tidy short game would really help that out.
Hmm.
Again, that's sort of pitching, chipping, and putting.
Yep.
Um, and the third one, which I think is my biggest attribute, would be the mental side of the game, and that would be, well, I mean, it's so in depth, but having complete acceptance of outcomes. So when you have complete acceptance of an outcome, you're not afraid to hit the shot because you're willing to accept wherever it goes. So there's a sense of freeness, I guess, when playing.
Yep.
And then just with that, I think comes having a very level. I'm very level headed when I play. I don't get too up and I don't get too down. Now, there's plenty of elite golfers out there, like a John Rahm or a Tyrrell Hatton, that go up and down and up and down. But for the most part, I think you know just staying very within yourself and not having too many highs or too many lows. I think it's yeah, I think it's super important. Oh, and by the way, don't forget to enjoy yourself.
Yeah.
Maybe that should be in there. That should be in there.
No, no. Again, a lot of again pros do give that tip of just enjoy playing golf, but obviously we all know it. You can't enjoy it completely because obviously there's things that come in. But like I said, if you can create that mental performance or like you said, with complete acceptance and level-headedness, then you're going to start to enjoy it a lot more that way. And just to go, it's just a game of golf, and okay, I might have got a bogey there, but I'm gonna get birdie on the next one and be back in the game.
Exactly.
So,
like,
stuff.
Pardon me, like, shit happens.
Yeah.
You know, whether it's in life, whether your car breaks down, whether you get a nail in your tire, or whether you hit one that hits a cart path and goes out of bounds. Like, shit happens, like it does, and shit will happen. So, the more you have acceptance of that, the more you'll be prepared when it comes and when it does happen. So,
I like that.
Yeah.
Well, Brandon, thank you very much for giving us an insight into your whirlwind year. And it's not over yet, so good luck in the Grand Tour Tour Grand Final, in a couple of weeks. And like I said, we'll keep an eye out, and I'll be celebrating whatever your outcome is, because I think it's, like you said, it's going to be no matter where you finish or what you do, it's definitely a successful outcome for considering where you were, obviously, like I said, at the start of this year. So, and I love the fact that the journey you've gone on this year has been fantastic. So hopefully it's a bit of an inspiration for everybody else to get out there and like you said, fall in love with the process.
True, yeah. And again, thanks very much for having me. I think if it can, and it should, inspire others, because if you come from where I come from and you've had to deal with what I've dealt with, like, if I can do it and I'm doing it, then I think anything is possible, mate.
Fantastic. Cheers, mate, and speak to you soon.
No worries. Thanks again. Appreciate it.